Let's eat with the new family. In a deliberately showy manner, the Thompson family enjoys a delicious-looking meals. Yet, for some reason, only a familiar cup noodle is placed in front of me. Sitting opposite me, Nicole remains silent, looking down. Andrew's mother leans in to look at her face. "Oh, Nikki? What's wrong? Don't worry about it, let's eat. From now on, instead of your mother, we will become your family." Nicole looked at Andrew's mother with cold eyes, ignored her words, and briskly walked to my side, speaking to me in a clear voice. "Let's go home." I nodded in agreement. "Yes." As we headed to the entrance, an anxious Andrew blocked our way. "Nikki. What are you doing? What do you mean?" "I'm thinking of going home. To avoid wasting any more time." "Huh? Do you even understand what you're saying?" Andrew raised his voice in frustration and grabbed Nicole's arm. Nicole shook off his hand and shouted back. "Do you even understand what you're doing to whom?" Then, Nicole and I confront the Thompson family with a certain truth. I am Sandra Morgan, 50 years old. Since losing my husband to illness 18 years ago, I have raised my daughter, Nicole, single-handedly. Nicole was only 7 when her father passed away. I didn't want Nicole to face hardships in the future just because she had a single parent, so I worked relentlessly to ensure financial stability, also to fulfill my husband's dream. With the sole aim of getting on track, I worked tirelessly, relying on my parents and after-school care. During this time, I made Nicole feel lonely too often. "Why aren't you waiting at home for me, Mama? All the other moms are there to welcome their kids home." This was said to me one summer day when Nicole was in the 2nd grade of elementary school, her lower lip quivering and tears in her eyes. It felt like a punch to the head. I was so consumed with work every day that I nearly lost sight of what was important. The most important thing was Nicole, and I had made her make such a face. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, Nicole." After that, I started to cut back on work as much as I could. However, I still think we had less relaxed time together compared to families with both parents. Even when I returned home early, there were times when I had to work at home. "I'm sorry, Nicole." After finishing overtime work and rushing home to quickly have dinner and take a bath, I'd hurry Nicole to bed, and when I finally took a breath, I'd see her sleeping peacefully. Seeing her made me feel an indescribable sense of guilt. She was still in elementary school, and I couldn't fully indulge her. But if I didn't work, we couldn't live. If I fell, this household would end. Every day was a struggle. However, it paid off, and by the time Nicole graduated from middle school, my job stabilized, and we began to have some financial leeway. By the time Nicole became a high school student, she had become quite independent, worrying about me, saying, "Mom, aren't you working too much?" I felt both reassured and somewhat guilty seeing how mature Nicole had become beyond her years. From there on, I, as a parent, didn't have to worry, and Nicole continued to grow and walk on her own feet. And this year, Nicole turned 25. She had fully adapted to her workplace and was accustomed to living alone. Parents often realize their children are independent sooner than they think. At this rate, Nicole's marriage might come sooner than expected. Imagining Nicole in a wedding dress made me feel a surge of warmth. However, I hadn't heard any serious romantic rumors about Nicole. I thought marriage talks were still a while away, but then, Nicole contacted me. The conversation started with casual chat, but suddenly, Nicole fell silent, then shyly started speaking. "Actually, there's someone I'm considering marrying." I was so surprised, I almost screamed. The unexpected romantic news from Nicole was genuinely delightful. "Tell me, what's he like?" Honestly, I wanted to bombard her with questions. But I managed to contain my curiosity and asked. After a brief pause, Nicole answered. "He's a senior at my workplace. He's competent, and he confessed to me. We've been dating for a while." "Oh, that's wonderful. He sounds like a great person." Maybe it's just parental bias, but I think Nicole is smart, kind, and has grown up to be a wonderful person. I've only heard good things about her from her workplace colleagues. Many clients ask specifically for Nicole by name. They say she's thorough, serious, and reliable. Knowing Nicole was sincerely dedicated to her work made me proud as a mother. I have a lot to learn from him at work. Is that so? Nicole's voice was lively as she talked about him. I was curious about the man Nicole had chosen. After all, this was the first boyfriend Nicole had told me about. I was very interested in him but didn't want to pressure her, so I refrained from asking too much. I figured she would tell me more when things progressed. And that's what I was waiting for. A few weeks after our initial conversation, Nicole contacted me again. Sorry for being sudden, but I want you to meet him sometime soon. The invitation came much sooner than I expected. I was a bit surprised but happy. Oh. I'm thrilled. Just tell me when, I'll make time. I'm looking forward to it. However, despite my excitement over the phone, Nicole's reaction seemed complicated for some reason. When I asked what was wrong, Nicole hesitantly answered. Well, don't get your hopes up too much. I mean, I hope you won't be disappointed. It was an unexpected response. Oh, don't worry. I'm not overprotective, nor do I have high ideals. Most importantly, if he's the person Nicole chose, I think he'll be fine. Yeah. Thank you. Talking on the phone always frustrates me because I can't see her face. What expression is Nicole making now? I can't tell. It's unlike her, usually so positive, to be so apprehensive about introducing her boyfriend to me. I was concerned, but she might just be nervous. I reassured myself and eagerly awaited the day I would meet him. Then came the day of our meeting. I'm nervous. Does my outfit look strange? It's fine. You look great. And I'm more nervous than you are. We smiled at each other and headed to a well-known local restaurant, often used for business meetings. Initially, we planned to meet on a weekend for a leisurely talk. However, he was busy on weekends, so we decided to meet after work instead. We arrived, and a little later, Nicole's boyfriend showed up. Nice to meet you, I'm Andrew Thompson. Nice to meet you, I'm Nicole's mother. It's a pleasure to meet you. As I bowed my head, Andrew responded with a smile and a nod. His tall figure suited the sharp suit he wore, and his hairstyle was modern. His cheerful manner of speaking was exactly that of a promising young salesman. Nicole chose him, so there was no need for me to interject. However, given what had been said beforehand, I was on edge about what kind of person would come, which made me feel a bit let down. He seemed like a very nice person. What was Nicole worried about? Although our relationship is still new, I am thinking of marrying Nicole eventually. Meeting you today, Mother, has been truly wonderful. I'm glad you reached out. It's reassuring to hear he's considering marriage seriously, not just dating casually. He seemed sincere and reliable, and also interesting to talk to. Such a pleasant person, yet what was Nicole worrying about? He seemed like a very good young man. With that thought, we chatted away. As the amount of alcohol increased, the atmosphere grew lively until it started to shift slightly. Andrew's face turned red, showing he was in high spirits. You know, when I first heard she was from a single-parent home, I was honestly a bit put off. But having you as my mother-in-law is great. Oh, is that so? I almost dropped my glass. It's unexpected to be so candidly spoken to at a first meeting, even if alcohol is involved. I think my face must have stiffened at that moment. Hey, Andrew. Nicole hurriedly placed her hand on Andrew's shoulder, which he shook off with a shrug. It's fine. I'm giving a compliment here. Nikki, you're always sweating the small stuff. It wasn't Nicole who was being overly particular. I mentally retorted. Nicole sighed and held her head in her hands. Andrew often misspeaks, I'm sorry, Mom. No, it's okay. Saying it didn't bother me would be a lie. I've faced prejudice for being a single parent before. It's not something one gets used to. It always hits hard. Amidst the slightly tense atmosphere, only Andrew seemed to be enjoying his drink merrily. It was the first moment I felt a sense of unease towards Andrew. Initially, I thought he was an impeccable young man. However, as the drinking progressed, his words flowed more freely, and there were moments that made me want to shake my head. Nikki is too good at her job. It's great for her reputation at work, but it makes me feel a bit small as her boyfriend. He spoke while propping his cheek with his hand, seemingly oblivious to my confusion. Perhaps he didn't even care. But Nicole is working hard too, right? As I tried to defend Nicole with a bit of irritation, Andrew waved his hands dismissively. You don't get it, mother. Nikki is working too hard. Besides, women should have some vulnerabilities, right? It's more charming that way. Back in the day. In your era, wasn't it like that? It felt like being treated as a relic from the past. While not incorrect, it didn't feel great. Nicole glared at him, trying to stop him, but Andrew finished his drink with a look of satisfaction. Is that so? But times have changed, and as you said, it's different from our time. Well, in your era, which was decades ago, women were expected to support their men, right? Even now. By the end, I was utterly dumbfounded and could only offer a wry smile. After we got home, I received an apology call from Nicole. I'm really sorry, Mom. It's okay, I was happy to meet him. This was truly how I felt. Meeting Nicole's partner was genuinely pleasing. Yet, I couldn't wholeheartedly support them. The thought of him spending his life with Nicole made it hard to offer my blessings. Perhaps sensing my feelings, Nicole added, as if making excuses on his behalf. Andrew has been struggling with work recently. He's usually much calmer. I see, he's tired, then. It can't be helped. Sorry. If alcohol reveals one's true nature, what then? They had mentioned dating with marriage in mind. But is Andrew really the right partner for Nicole? This troubling thought spread through my heart, yet I couldn't bring myself to say it to Nicole directly. It seemed a bit insensitive to criticize with so little to go on. All we can do is watch a little longer. Muttering to myself, I sighed. I decided to wait and see. Yet, just a few weeks after that meeting, Nicole surprised me with news. Actually, Andrew proposed to me yesterday. And he wants you to come with me to meet his parents. What? You mean to get married? Was Andrew really the right choice? I managed to choose my words carefully. Does that mean you want to marry Andrew? If Nicole herself wishes it, perhaps it's inevitable. But as a parent, is it right to send off my daughter with these misgivings? I felt like voicing my concerns. As I nervously asked, after a few seconds of silence, Nicole said in a soft voice. Actually, there's something I haven't been able to tell you, Mom. I've been having some concerns recently. What? Upon hearing a certain fact from Nicole, I decided to take action immediately. For my dear daughter's sake. Now was not the time for indecision. A few days later, Nicole and I visited Andrew's family home. I'm so glad you could come. Andrew had come to pick us up on foot from the nearest station to his family home. The three of us, Nicole, Andrew, and I, walked to his parents' house. My parents are really excited about the marriage, they can't wait. My mom has thought of Nicole as her own daughter even before meeting her. Nicole had said, marriage is still on hold. Yet it seemed Andrew and his parents were already set on it. I'm looking forward to meeting them. Imagining what was to come, I braced myself and smiled. About 10 minutes later, we arrived at Andrew's family home. As he said, his parents greeted us with smiles. Oh my! What a lovely girl. You must be Nikki. Nice to meet you. Nicole responded calmly with a smile, but I was taken aback from the start. To call Nicole by a nickname in front of me, her mother, especially upon our first meeting. As I watched silently, Andrew's mother noticed me and smiled sheepishly. You must be Nikki's mother, right? Oh, I apologize. Was it presumptuous of me? That's what Andrew calls her. No, it's... As Nicole and I felt awkward, Andrew's father joined in. Well, she's going to be our daughter once they're married anyway. What's in a name? Come on, Nikki. Come inside already. Hurry. Ah, yes. Excuse me for intruding. It turns out Nicole's father-in-law works at the same company as Nicole and Andrew. However, since they're in different departments, today is their first time meeting face to face. Both spouses calling her by a nickname on our first meeting, really? What kind of people are they? While I was taken aback, Andrew, with a blank expression, said to me, "What's the matter? Come on, mother, don't be shy. Our house is quite nice for around here, but you don't have to hold back." Did he think I was overwhelmed? No. It's just that I'm shocked by his unique parents. I never imagined that my daughter, before even marrying into the family, would be addressed so casually on a first visit. Yes, of course. Excuse me for intruding. With a mix of feelings bubbling inside, I entered the room. True to their prideful claim, the house was spacious and beautiful. It's probably very different from your family home, so it might feel strange at first, but you'll get used to it. Andrew's mother glanced at me and then hugged Nicole's shoulder. Are they implying that, because we are a mother and daughter household, we live in a shabby place? With a house this big, cleaning is quite the task, but Nikki, you'll be fine, right? You've been doing housework since you were young, haven't you? Being from a single-parent home, that's normal, right? Poor thing. I was about to intervene, but I held back. Nicole also started to say something, but before she could respond, Andrew's mother hurried her into the living room. You must be hungry, right? Have a seat. On the living room table, delicious-looking meals were arranged for each seat. We ordered the finest from a well-known shop nearby because Nikki was coming. Today is a special day, after all. Indeed, the meal looked very expensive. As we were guided to our designated seats and about to sit down, Nicole and I immediately noticed something was off. This is? As I pointed to what was in front of my seat, the Thompson family all smiled mischievously. There are all sorts of people in the world, you know. You've heard it, right? Living in different worlds? Today, we wanted Nikki and you to understand that. Andrew's mother exclaimed gleefully. Beside her, the father, and next to Nicole, Andrew, watched the scene with amusement. It was too obvious what this family was thinking, and I snorted through my nose. I see, so that's why everyone else has deluxe meals, and in front of me, there's cup noodle. At my words, Andrew clapped appreciatively. Exactly. You catch on quick. The cup noodles represent Nikki and Mother's past. The deluxe meals represent our family and Nikki's future with us. Isn't that an easy way to understand? Nicole remained silent, looking down. I, too, kept my mouth shut, glaring at the Thompson family. Thinking she had made her point, Andrew's mother eagerly proclaimed, "Let's eat with the new family." As the Thompson family conspicuously enjoyed their meals, they noticed my frozen state and exclaimed with feigned surprise. "Oh. Your portion just had hot water added, so please wait about 3 minutes. You're used to it, right? Sorry, but we'll start without you. Come on, Nikki, eat up." Saying this, Andrew's mother peered into Nicole's face. At that moment, Nicole slowly stood up. Andrew's mother looked at her, puzzled. "Oh, Nikki? What's wrong? Don't worry about it, let's eat. From now on, instead of your mother, we will become your family." Nicole looked at Andrew's mother with cold eyes, ignored her words, and briskly walked to my side, speaking to me in a clear voice. "Let's go home." I nodded in agreement. Yes. As we headed to the entrance, an anxious Andrew blocked our way. "Nikki. What are you doing?" "What do you mean?" "I'm thinking of going home. To avoid wasting any more time." "Huh? Do you even understand what you're saying?" Andrew raised his voice in frustration and grabbed Nicole's arm. Nicole shook off his hand and shouted back. Do you even understand what you're doing to whom? Andrew looked momentarily baffled but then snorted dismissively. Are you going to complain about being disrespectful again? It can't be helped, right? This is like a ritual for your sake. What? When Nicole glared at him, Andrew shrugged in a resigned manner. You always boast about your mom, but in the end, she's just a poor single mother, right? Moreover, a widow who hasn't been able to remarry for decades. I'm inviting you from that pitiable world to our wealthy one, and you're still unsatisfied? Being a widow unable to remarry. Some people think that way, huh? Indeed, being a single parent often came with being shunned or looked down upon. Actually, there were people who showed interest in me. But since my husband passed away, Nicole has been my priority. Remarriage has its benefits, but not without its drawbacks. After much deliberation, I decided not to remarry until Nicole did. And Nicole knew that. Nicole, still staring at Andrew, let out a big sigh. I thought you were competent at work, but it turns out you're such a loser in your personal life. What did you say? Andrew, his face turning red with anger, was questioned by Nicole, who frowned. Aren't you the type to separate work from personal life? But you should think more carefully from now on. Work and personal life are intertwined in ways you might not realize. Are you threatening me? What does an old lady like you have to do with my work? Nicole looked at me and nodded slightly. It seems there's no need to keep quiet anymore. I turned to face Andrew, cleared my throat, and smiled sweetly. Well, it's our first meeting, but actually, your company and our company have a deep connection. Huh? My company? What? Andrew's face, which was red moments ago, quickly turned pale. Huh? What do you mean, company? Nicole is cautious, so she didn't tell you. Actually, your company is a subsidiary of ours. Though I said, our company. It was originally founded by my late husband. He had an interest in the apparel industry and had been planning since his student days to turn those plans into reality with his startup. The company itself was doing reasonably well, but when my husband passed away in the midst of achieving his dream, I took over. I didn't have my husband's sense for the business. So, at first, I struggled a lot. However, I desperately wanted to connect what he left behind to the future. I thought if the company could stabilize, we would be financially secure. Working while raising a young Nicole was tough, but with help from those around me, we managed to increase our performance. Lately, the company has been thriving. That's nonsense. Nikki never mentioned anything like that. As Andrew looked at Nicole uncertainly, she responded without even looking at him. I didn't want any special treatment by leveraging my mother's position. In our company, probably only President Johnson knows about this. The president? Does the president know? Nicole nodded and then gave me a meaningful look. By the way, President Johnson has been a fan of my mom for a long time. Because of me, he never got a chance. Hey, don't say unnecessary things. Actually, unknown to Nicole, after my husband passed away, Mr. Johnson had confessed his feelings to me several times. I turned him down, saying I couldn't consider it until Nicole was grown up. Aside from work, I thought it might be awkward, but since Mr. Johnson treated me normally, we've maintained a good friendship. Andrew was opening and closing his mouth, looking around bewildered. Huh? You mean my mother-in-law is the president of our parent company? And the president is a fan, eh? What? Since you and Nicole aren't going to marry, can you stop calling me your mother-in-law? Andrew seemed completely confused. But there was more to the story. Despite almost leaving due to the treatment, I had something else I wanted to ask him. That's why I specifically came today. Andrew. I hear you have a good reputation at work, but it seems you're doing whatever you want by exploiting it, aren't you? What? Andrew's face went pale as he twitched nervously. It seems he knew exactly what I was talking about. His eyes were swimming uncertainly. I heard you've been indiscriminately hitting on the temporary staff, haven't you? Surely many would be pleased to accept your advances, given your position. How did you know about that? Andrew's eyes widened in shock. He glanced at his parents for a moment, but then shook his head at me. No, that's not it. It's a misunderstanding. I did approach them, but that was to improve the company's atmosphere. His flustered demeanor made him look all the more suspicious. It's impressive he could tell such lies. If he had been approaching them in this manner, anyone would doubt this man. But I almost fell for Andrew's facade at our first meeting. If the temp staff were fooled by his masked state, it's understandable. He's desperately making excuses even now. It seems you made similar excuses to Nicole. Nicole is honest and serious, so she was completely taken in by it. Though she trusted him, she became anxious about marriage again and consulted me. After hearing everything from Nicole, I became very worried. So, after accepting this proposal, I hired a detective agency to investigate you. That's an invasion of privacy. Andrew was completely flustered. His reaction alone should have made the truth clear, but the findings were damning. Andrew had been involved with multiple women. Some were even hinted at contract extensions, though you have no authority to offer that. They were all deceived, poor things. Andrew looked down, trembling, but suddenly looked up and shouted loudly. So what? That alone boosts their motivation for work. I'm not wrong. In fact, I'm doing something beneficial for the company. To think he'd show no remorse and even become defiant. How many temp staff has this man manipulated? Temp workers are employees entrusted to us by their agencies. You seem to look down on them easily, but they are not people you have the right to belittle. Ha! That's just a nice way of saying it. Temp workers are just a bunch of people who couldn't become regular employees. In other words, a collection of low-level people. Of course, we regular employees are superior. This person is beyond help. Behind Andrew, his parents nodding in agreement were just as incomprehensible to me. From a young age, he must have received some kind of misguided education. Comparing themselves to others, looking down on them, and indulging in a sense of superiority. It's pointless to say anything to such people. It seems it might take some time for you to understand. But, well, maybe you'll grasp it quickly once you find yourself in that situation. Huh? Oh, you'll be unemployed, so by your standards, that's below a temporary worker, right? The lowest rung, perhaps? Andrew shook his head frantically, looking at me with pleading eyes. I don't understand what you're saying. Even if you're competent at your job, do you think the company would continue to employ someone who has been found to make advances on so many temp workers? You're fired. President Johnson, he was furious. That can't be. Wait. That's impossible. Andrew tried to grab my arm, but Nicole swiftly chopped his hand away. Don't touch my mom with your filthy hands. Living in different worlds? Good. We don't belong in the same lowly world as you. No, wait. Nikki. Andrew approached with tearful eyes, but Nicole didn't even glance at him. I used to think you were a wonderful person. That's why I was deceived. But now, I feel nothing. As Nicole pulled my hand to leave, Andrew's parents tried to stop us, blocking our way. Wait. Nikki. Andrew will change from now on. That's right. He's made a mistake, but he's going to be successful in the future. It would be a waste to give up on him now. You'll regret it later. The parents were clearly panicking. And no wonder, since Andrew and his father were the main financial providers for the family. With Andrew losing his job, the Thompson family's income would drastically decrease. Forget about a feast or anything like that. Moreover, Andrew's father had his own reasons for concern. I stood in front of the parents and addressed Andrew's father. Did you think you wouldn't get caught? What are you? This foolish act isn't just limited to Andrew, right? Like father, like son, both complete fools. Andrew's father began to sweat profusely. Please, don't tell the president about me. I'm already fully aware. Good luck job hunting, both of you. Though, in this industry, rumors spread quickly, so finding a new job might be difficult. It seems dejection is hereditary too. Both Andrew and his father knelt down together, heads bowed. Looking back as we left the room, even from a distance, their figures were strikingly similar. Later, the Thompson family was jointly fired. Not only the issue with the temp workers, but it seems they had been involved in various small deceits. Despite being well paid, they both became unemployed overnight, drastically lowering their standard of living. The house was sold, and now they live in an old apartment, the three of them. A feast is probably off for a while. Interestingly, both members of the Thompson family had been considered competent at work, so their firing caused quite a stir in the company. To me, the future of the Thompson family holds no interest. My main concern was whether Nicole was shocked by these events. But apparently, there's no need to worry. I need to gain more experience. Being deceived like that was due to my lack of experience. Saying so, she's been actively going out for meals with colleagues and acquaintances introduced by friends. My daughter is remarkably forward-looking and dependable. That's the Nicole I know. As for me, this incident prompted Nicole to tell me to let go. I know I'm the one who failed this time, but if there's someone you want to marry, Mom, I want you to go for it. I'm already 25, so there's no need to hesitate or worry on my behalf. Nicole seems to have taken Andrew's insult about me being an unmarried widow to heart. While I don't have a specific desire to remarry, the thought of spending my remaining years with someone pleasant is appealing. Encouraged by Nicole, next time he invites me out, I might accept without making excuses. With him, someone I've known for decades, I might be able to spend a happy and peaceful life.